Hello, good afternoon to you.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
Good. It says recording. Is this the start of the show? Or
Yeah, coming in hot. Real hot.
like instant? Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to 8 Pixel Radio. Really excited for this episode. We have Charli today. Charli, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Charli Marie. I'm the creative director at ConvertKit, leading the brand team. I'm a designer. I live in Spain. I'm from New Zealand, so that's the accent you're hearing. But I lived for about 4.5 years in the UK, in London. So the accent's kind of a mix now. What else? What else about me? I am soon to be a cat mum.
Yes.
Very excited about that. We were just talking before the call about how I'm looking into adopting a cat or two. What else? I have a YouTube channel. I have several podcasts, and I love talking about design. I'm a huge nerd for design and all things related.
Excellent. So your accent, before we do jump into the questions, when you do speak to people from back home, do they say that you sound like a mishmash?
Yes, I get a mix. Some people say that. Some people are confused by it, or I don't know, like to comment on that, especially because I work for a US company. So now I'm starting to pick up on some of that too. It is a real mix.
Yeah.
But
So you say elevator now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll ever go that far. But my family like to say to me, "Oh, you've still got the Kiwi accent." So I think that they're like, they're glad that I've still got that part.
Still at heart, still like check, still got that bit.
Still a Kiwi.
All right, let's do this. Okay, question number 1. What song or album can you listen to on repeat? Why? What does it mean to you?
Okay, so I would say that almost everything that I have saved in my Spotify, I could listen to on repeat. I'm like a chronic one for putting a song on and listening to it for like 2 hours straight when it's a song that I really like. And I go through phases, and there's always like a song of the moment that I'm hitting repeat on. So I really had to think about this and think like, okay, but what album in general could I always listen to on repeat? And I came up with some ideas of like cool answers, but I'm just going to give you the honest answer.
Okay.
And that is Good Charlotte, The Young and the Hopeless.
Fantastic.
Is an album that I can always listen to on repeat. That or Green Day, American Idiot. They both came out at that sort of like time when you're like, I don't know, like finding your identity in high school, and I'm 32 now, and they still mean a lot to me, and I still love them.
So we're of the same era, and I think I can definitely remember those things coming out and people going crazy because it came up with. It wasn't just the music; it was how you dressed and how you acted and your stylistic choices.
Yep. Whole wardrobe was like black, red, and white for a phase. We all went through that.
Was that the Green Day album with When September Ends or not? Was that a different album?
It sure was.
Oh wow! Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Classic.
You can just go there. You can go there straight away, and you can remember walking through school and everyone listening to the same music, and then thinking, you know what? I don't even know if I like this music, but everyone's listening to it, and we got to go on this journey together. Okay.
Well, I remember specifically whenever I think of that album, I flash back to sitting in like the family room at the house that my family was living in the time and studying for our mock exams that we had that year for school. And I just had this album on my Discman, and like it wasn't even the real album. It was a burned copy. Like surely the statute of limitations is up on there right now, so I can admit it. Of the album from my friend, and I just had that on repeat studying. I don't know why that just memory always comes to mind.
I very vividly remember me and my brother. So I'm a twin. We were given an MP3 player between us, and the MP3 player.
Okay.
Yes, indeed, and it had 64 megabyte of memory, so you could put an album on it. And as you can imagine, when you're sharing it between you, that album needs to change every half a day. So we would go from something probably like a Green Day to a 2-pack album to something completely different, just like chop and change. And of course, that was torrented, as I think everybody was used to at those times, through something like LimeWire. Probably broke my computer from doing that as well. That was the style of the time. That's what we did.
Yeah.
All right. That was an awesome question. I was actually going to ask you a joke question about whether it was like a One Direction album or something. And if you did go down that way, I would have felt like I was predicting the future.
No, there probably was a time that I listened to a One Direction song on repeat, but I can't say I could even give you the name of one of them.
Oh, they've got hits. They have hits. All right, I have a random question for you. This is not something I asked you to prepare for, so I'm interested to see where you take this one. But it's actually really related to what we were just talking about. So we all really liked the game Snake, and when we were growing up, as I'm sure you remember. Oh, but what year was it created?
I have absolutely no idea. None at all.
You're gonna have to pick one.
Okay. The like the 80s?
Can we be specific?
83.
Do you know what? You're not actually that far away.
Really?
If someone asked me that question, I would have gone straight into the 90s with that.
Okay.
You managed to place that in like an appropriate era. It was originally created in 1976, and through a game called Blockade, which I have not heard of, but sounds great. But then, obviously, as we know, Nokia made it really popular in 1998 when they put it on there. I think the 3210 was the first one. Yeah. And I miss those days. I miss playing Snake on my phone. It was a simple time.
I feel like there was one point that I found an app that was like Snake on the iPhone, and it just was not the same because like they'd made it 3D and sound effects and
notifications.
No, it's not the same. Ads, yeah.
You could share it to Twitter if you wanted to. All the good stuff.
Make an account, save your username.
Yeah. Sorry, your username's already taken. Can you try a different one? All right, next question. This is going to change tone slightly, I imagine. But what do you find yourself having to consistently convince people of?
So the first thing that came to mind for this is that I don't want to do YouTube full time. And I feel like it's actually not been a problem lately, now that I think about it. But for many, many years, it persisted as something I would constantly have to convince people of because they would see me growing this channel, like making videos, putting time into this thing. And it seemed to be that they just all assumed that, okay, this is going to be a thing that one day you take full time and, it's going to be your job. That's the path, right? You start a YouTube channel, you find an audience, you get some success, then you go full time. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this full time though. Like, it's fun for me because it's a hobby and it's a side project and there's less pressure with it. And I don't want it to be the only thing that I do. And there's some people who I could convince every now and then by saying, like explaining that I need a bunch of different things to feel fulfilled in life and that, design is a big part of that. And I like working on a team. And so that's why I have a job and do YouTube on the side. But some people just never believe me. I feel like they will give me that look where they're like, okay, yeah, you're saying that now, but we'll see one day.
Do you think that your employers have thought that too?
Not my current ones. Well, maybe a little bit to start with. I remember it coming up we do these sessions called unsolicited feedback at ConvertKit on our team retreats, where you're sort of like all together as a team and you share your hopes for the other person. I don't know, any concerns you have, things like that. It's time to call it out. And I remember early on getting a lot of people saying to me like, oh, I'm worried Charlie's going to leave one day, or because of this. But I feel like I've managed to convince them now that that's not the case. But I think perhaps some past employers maybe had that thought, but we just never talked about it.
Yeah, just leave it in the corner, never talk about it again. Have you found that any of your fans have expected you to do more, as if it was a full-time job?
Yes. There's a lot of people like ask for things, and I'm just like, I just can't do that for you. Like I can't. And sometimes people don't understand why, because they see other creators doing it a lot, like making a course, offering mentorship sessions. These are two things that I've always thought about, but I have to prioritize. And right now I'm actually working on a book about marketing design. Maybe I should have said that in my introduction about myself.
We did now. We can slice it up.
But there we go. We just said it now. And I'm prioritizing that. And I just can't do the other things because I just don't have the capacity. But mostly people are understanding. And I think because over the past year especially, there's been so many more design YouTube channels and like people making videos about design alongside their job. And so I think it's normalized it a bit more, and people are, just seeing that that's a valid option too, just to do it on the side.
Yeah. And I suppose that it's a lot easier to pay attention to the people that actually speak at you and ask for things rather than just the thousands of other people that are just enjoying the content.
Yeah, definitely.
Even when it comes to like negative feedback as well.
Yeah, for sure. The noisy few can really sway your feelings about things one way or another.
Yeah, which I think is probably a good approach for just sort of design in general and getting feedback. Of if you're doing some user testing or something, you're probably always going to be paying attention to the one person that says it's crap.
Yep.
Whereas somebody might not say that it's great, but they didn't need to.
Exactly. People will call out the extremes, really. Like if something is really, really good, or they'll say it. But actually, no, not the extremes. If it's even just slightly bad, I think they'll mention it. But if it's just slightly good, they probably won't bother me.
If it's a 3 out of 5, you're going to think, why is that not a 4 out of 5? Come on, tell me.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I really like the answer. Really honest. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next question, what's the best thing you've never worked on?
So I read this wrong at first and I was like, oh, what's my favorite thing I've done in my career? And then I was like, no, never worked on. Interesting. I like this question a lot. And I feel like there's a lot of things that I want to do still, but I've sort of started making steps towards them. So like, I don't know, I won't mention those ones. So the one that came to mind mostly was teaching art and design in school. When you're a kid and you say what you want to be when you grow up, I always said I wanted to be a teacher. And I think it was mostly because my mum was a teacher, but I also really do enjoy teaching and like helping other people learn. And I feel like I do a bit of that through YouTube, sort of teaching from afar now. But I could see it being a fun job to have to be doing like classes in person, especially in perhaps like high schools, to get like make that spark happen in someone, less so than in university when someone's already chosen that they want to do design and then they need to learn. Like that's all well and good too, but I just think it'd be fun to encourage that in kids or younger people.
I've thought about this too, and my biggest inspiration from a creative perspective in my life was a teacher I had at high school, and that was, so he taught me a few lessons. One was graphics, which is like actual graphic design, like industrial sort of stuff, and then we had a program called resistant materials, which is kind of workshop, so building things. And it just opened it up so easily to allow me to think that I could actually do this. And most teachers just don't give you that avenue, or don't open that door for you to think you can do this and you're really good. You don't need to be the best, but you can, if you use these techniques and learn these tricks, that's going to allow you to succeed. And I've thought maybe I could try and give back at some point that way, switching to a teacher job. It's obviously not just like I'm a teacher now, but you need to go and train and do everything like that. So it needs to be an intentional decision. But I think that having been able to have an impact on people at that stage in their lives is such a massive opportunity.
Yeah, I had a very similar kind thoughts towards that. My photography teacher in high school, who I feel like really encouraged me and was the first person to really teach me what it meant to be creative and to like have an idea of something and like not just follow the instructions, because I was like very studious all throughout school. I always wanted to get the good grades and do whatever I needed to get the right answer. And in photography classes, there wasn't like one correct response to the assignment or the brief. I feel like he did a really good job of helping me understand that, and I've sort of taken it through the rest of life, really. So shout out to Mr. Brewster if he's listening.
Mr. Brewster, we love you. If you're listening, I don't know how you are now, but I'm terrible at following instructions. If it's something like a recipe, I'm off-piste before I've even started it.
Recipe says like put in 1 clove of garlic. I'm like, okay, 4 then.
Yeah, here's 4 bulbs of garlic.
I'm the same now.
Yeah. Have you
sure.
Go ahead.
I can follow instructions when they make sense to me and when I believe that they seem to be the right instructions. But if the instructions, I'm like, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't seem like the right way to do it, I'm just going to do it my way.
Yeah, which is not good. If you're trying to learn something new, so if you're trying to learn some HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or something like that, and you're following a tutorial, does that become hard?
Yes, because I like to skip through and I assume that I know things that I maybe don't. because I'm like, no, okay, yeah, I get that bit. No, I want to find the bit where I do this, and I miss the fact that like, no, you need to do these other steps before this thing will work. So I think it's me trying to rush through the learning process and just get to the info that I need.
I just get distracted so easily. If it's like a 30-minute video, I'm trying to do a few JavaScript courses. I was like, oh la, what's going on over here? Let me just switch to Twitter, scroll through there for a little. Pay attention to the video.
Yep. I've found that. Well, hang on. First of all, can you hear that car horn going on outside?
Yeah, it's great. No. It's like a nice background effect that we can add.
Great. Should we just keep
add it in post?
It sounds like an alarm's going off. I've found that happens to me sometimes when I'm trying to work on something as well. That I end up, stuck on I'm not quite sure what radius to make this corner. I'm going to go over to Twitter or whatever.
It's either 2 or 4.
Yeah, that's the only options, right? I use 3 sometimes. I found that lately I've been streaming some design work, and it's really helped my focus, because when I've got like 60 people watching me design in Figma, I'm not gonna switch over to a different tab and open Twitter and just scroll for a little bit, Yeah. So it's been really productive. Like, it's a productivity hack that I've discovered. Is to just stream.
That's a really good point. I'd be really nervous to do that. I might try it.
Yes, it is very nerve-wracking. The other day I drew a terrible, terrible house icon, and we all just agreed, everyone who was there, we're never going to speak of this again. And everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah, I've been there. Try it. House icons are really hard to do.
Yep, I ended up drawing a weird, wonky arrow.
Right. Okay. It's an interpretive house.
Yeah, interpretive
as long as all the other icons look similar, then you're in good shape.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to switch to a word from our sponsor. Okay. Today's episode is brought to us by, let me just check my notes, side projects. Because as we all know, there's nothing more satisfying after an 11-hour workday in tech than working on more tech. And now back to our scheduled programming. The 4th question is, what would your last meal be?
So I knew instantly, like, whenever this question is like, a topic, my first answer is always fries. I love me some fries.
Okay.
Potato, crispy, give me that. But since I've been living in Spain now, I feel like I wanted to put a Spanish twist on this answer. And I'm going to say that I'll choose patatas bravas, which is basically like chunks of potato fried, but with aioli and the spicy, like, tomatoey bravas sauce on them. So that's what I pick. I could eat that every single day, and I don't, because I'm an adult with restraint sometimes. But that is my favorite food.
Okay, let's jump a little bit further into this one. Is it going to be like a little tapas bowl that you've got, or is it going to be one of those big?
Oh, no. We'll have a big plate of it. As much, all you can eat. All you can eat. How about that?
Consistently coming through like a sushi train around.
Yep. And like consistently fresh, so that they're crispy. Yep. That sounds.
Are we gonna add those 4 bulbs of garlic to the aioli?
Well, yeah, hopefully someone else has already added that for me. I don't want to do the cooking for my last meal.
No, absolutely not.
I want it to be prepared. Yeah.
Okay. And when we're thinking about the tomato sauce, how spicy are we going on here?
Well, for patatas bravas, I don't like them to be too spicy, just like a slight spiciness. But in general, I'm a big fan of hot sauce. And I have a collection of hot sauces at home, always trying different ones. So I'm a fan of spicy sauces, but we'll keep things medium-ish for this one. Let's say
medium to the chef. All right. Is there going to be any other things, any other sides or anything? Maybe a little greenery on the side or something?
Oh, definitely not greenery. If it's the last meal,
Come on now.
To eat green things. But maybe something sweet as well. I really like to switch between sweet and savory. I've definitely much more of like a savory tooth than a sweet tooth. Is a savory tooth a thing?
I think so.
But I like to switch back and forth, because when I eat a lot of the savory thing, I'm like, ooh, I want something sweet now. And then I eat like a little bit of a sweet thing, and I'm like, now I want something savory.
Okay, so are we going to be putting in some churros here? Is that what's going to happen?
Some what, sorry?
Churros.
Cut out. No, I had a bad experience once getting sick from a street cart eating
oh, wow.
churros.
How is that possible?
Well, I think it's something to do with the oil that they were fried in.
Gross.
I don't know. So maybe not that. Maybe like a brownie or something like that would be good.
Okay.
Sweet thing. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our sushi cart of brownie and patatas bravas going around.
Yeah, coming out like constantly to switch between them.
Are you? Have you thought about a drink?
So very nerdily, I'm a fan of like flavored sparkling waters.
Oh my god, here we go.
So I have one of them, but also like let's have a whiskey. Why not?
Yes.
Doesn't go great with patatas bravas, but
this is your meal.
Yep, my meal. So I'll have me some bourbon whiskey. Yeah.
Okay, ice.
No, just straight.
No. Okay, double.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's a given. Do you have a particular brand that you go for, or just bourbon?
I like trying different bourbons, and I'm a fan of Japanese whiskeys as well. Got to visit the Yamazaki factory when awesome. I was in Japan a few years ago, so that was fun. But yeah, love me a bourbon. Yeah, not fussy, like trying different ones.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I don't know anything about it, but I will drink it for sure.
Yes.
Someone puts that in my hand.
What you like.
Yeah, I will drink it. And did you think about what crime you would have committed for this last meal?
Maybe it was something to do with the resistance to following instructions that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Perhaps. I don't know exactly what it could have been. But it was probably something where it was a law that I just thought was stupid and shouldn't be a law, and so I did my own thing.
So it's like one of the maybe like an ancient law that is still in place in some places.
There's some laws that aren't even that ancient that I think are stupid. So
yeah, I think that's fair. So maybe you were like walking a sheep down the street at midnight or something, and got arrested.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And they just pulled you in the clink. And they were like, "Here's your favorite meal," for no reason.
And I'm like, "Great."
And like, this looks like a great prison. Can I stay here? All right, we're on to the last question, and the most important question. What is your favorite curse word?
So I'm guessing that this is a show that's going to be marked explicit and that you're allowed to actually say the curse word?
Oh no, this is a children's show. This is a family show.
Oh.
No, you can say it. Go on.
About the curse word?
No, you just go, jump in.
My favorite curse word is fuck. And I like it because I think it can be used for when things are really good and for things that are really bad.
Yeah.
Or just for like when you're really surprised, or I don't know. It's like a multi-purpose word. It's great.
Do you find yourself?
Adjective.
Yeah, it's multi-purpose. Do you find yourself cursing a lot?
Oh yeah, all the fucking time.
I remember back in the days when offices were a thing, and having to check myself because I would swear so much when I'm designing something, and just be like, "Is anybody hearing what's coming out of my mouth?" It's like it's not that big a deal.
Right. I don't think it, like, I don't know. I am really going to struggle around. My sister had a baby last year, so I have a nephew now. And I think as he grows up and starts learning words, I'm really going to struggle because I'm like, this word only has power if you like call it a naughty word, right? Like, and this is one of the things I don't believe in. It's like making things taboo like that.
Yeah.
So, probably my nephew is going to learn to swear from me accidentally.
I think that's okay, as long as they don't use it against somebody in a derogatory way. As long as they know
when and where is appropriate to use it. I think that's more important to teach than don't ever use it.
Yeah, because the thing is, think about when kids grow up and their parents are like, don't ever drink fizzy drinks. And then they turn into 18-year-olds and become addicted to Coke. And you think, okay, that was probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
This is obviously very dramatic, what I just said, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I do get the idea. I
great.
even have like, you're uploading this as a video, right, on YouTube? So
yes.
People watching. If you can see there, I have a print of fuck on my wall.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. So you do really live by this sword.
Yes, I really, really enjoy this word.
Great. I think that's a fantastic word. And that is all of our questions today. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about you. Yeah. You're launching a book, apparently. So who knew that until during this podcast?
That's your main takeaway from this show. That's good, I guess. Yeah.
And the book's going to be called Fuck. So tune in, everybody. And it will be on the top shelf because no one's allowed to see it. Yep. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.